became a Muslim, I didn't have any religion. I believed in God. I remember when I was little, I used to talk to God all the time, Rosalie was quoted as saying by Anadolu Agency in March. Rosalie said her parents were not religious. She admitted she never really knew anyone religious before converting to Islam. When I came to Turkey, I had no intention of looking for religion. I went on Google and I found out they had the Blue Mosque and thought maybe I could check it out, he said. Rosalie said she was so scared because she didn't have a good opinion of Muslims. This was because all her information came from Western media. That's the only opinion I have about Islam, he said. Before visiting the mosque, Rosalie went to a local shop and bought a headscarf, or hijab, because she wanted to be respectful of others. I didn't want to offend anyone with my hair down. I thought maybe people would be mad at me. So I bought a hijab just to visit the mosque, she said. Rosalie said she found religious material about Islam, but at the time she didn't know what it meant. And I didn't even know how to pronounce it, Rosalie said. As soon as she entered the Blue Mosque, Rosalie took out her prayer beads and started reciting prayers. I just sat there for about an hour doing the prayer beads. I just looked around the mosque. It was so beautiful and so peaceful, I couldn't believe it. And I saw people praying in front of me. I was so amazed by the beauty and the peace inside the mosque. Nobody was yelling at me. Nobody was being mean to me. I was so shocked, she said. Rosalie said she looked for a copy of the Quran after leaving the mosque on her way to the hotel. She bought an English translation of the Quran and began reading it in her hotel room. Rosalie said she continued reading the Quran even after returning to the UK until she had finished the whole thing. It took a few months, and during that time I did a lot of study about Islam and watched a lot of lectures. And after a few months I said the Shahada, and I became a Muslim. Alhamdulillah, that was my journey. Everything changed in my life, Rosalie said. She revealed that her family was very unsure about her decision to convert to Islam. Rosalie said her mother used to surf the internet for information about Muslims and share it with her. It forced me to learn more to make him understand the beauty, the peace, everything behind Islam, he said. Rosalie emphasized that personal character is the best form of dawah, or calling to Islam. This is the best way to bring people towards religion. Because I think about my character, I help him understand the beauty of Islam. I talk to him more. I try to be more generous with him because in our religion, it is important, said Rosalie. We have parents. We have to take care of them. We have to be good to them, he continued. According to Rosalie, coming to Turkey was one of the main reasons why she became a Muslim. It was because I saw good Muslims, people with good character. They made me think I want to be that person. It made me better. It made me happier. I felt like I was reborn. I wanted to start over. I wanted to leave my sins behind, Rosalie said. Speaking about her life before converting to Islam, Rosalie said she trained to be an actress. Revealing her dream of becoming an actress for the longest time, Rosalie started acting when she was 14. So, I've been acting for a while, and I've trained in LA. I live in America. That's my whole lifestyle. That's been my dream for ages. I do some screenwriting, and I do some directing as well, Rosalie said. After converting to Islam, he left his dream. He has a channel on YouTube where he posts Islamic content. I want to help people learn more about religion, and I post a lot of conversion stories there too. So, promoting things that will help people in their religion is my goal, he said. I am very happy to be here. This is the place where I discovered Islam. It was the first Muslim country I ever visited, said Rosalie, speaking at Istanbul's landmark, Sultanahmet Square. I came back here for a reason. I came back with my husband, and I wanted to show him the amazing places in Istanbul, in Turkey. And the people here are so amazing. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing, she continued. The Islamic story of British actress Aisha Rosalie. From alcohol to the call to prayer at Turkey's Blue Mosque. For most Indonesians, the choice to become an atheist or someone who does not believe in God is difficult to understand. Believing that there is an invisible essence that has supernatural powers has been rooted in Indonesian culture, even before the monotheistic religions entered the country. However, in the Western world, with the development of its increasingly materialistic civilization, many people cannot feel the concept Rosalie is very straightforward in sharing her experiences and views on life. Her intelligence in delving into the meaning of her feelings and experiences brings a comprehensive context to better understand the inner self of someone like Rosalie, a Western woman who was originally far from religion, but eventually accepted Islam as a way of life. Below is Rosalie's full interview, as in the video on the My Deen channel. Although very long, but every explanation is interesting to follow, because every sentence that comes out of her mouth can open our hearts and minds to understand how meaningful the guidance offered by Islam to humans is. Appreciation for Islam can be something that is difficult for people who have been Muslim since birth. Rosalie's emotional experiences and views are worth listening to and reflecting on, so as to increase our appreciation and gratitude for the blessings of Islam. Increase our faith to be more devout in worship in the sense of rituals or in daily life practices. Because the essence of humans living in the world is only to worship, not for anything else. As in the words of Allah, "And I did not create jinn and humans, except so that they would worship me." QS at Zariyat 56. Who is Aisha Rosalie? I grew up in a very poor family. My father came from what we call a wandering gypsy family. We grew up in a council house, like a very poor housing estate in England. We lived very hard and very poor, so when I started looking into becoming an actress, I started really learning how to speak properly and learning how to present myself, and now I am a Muslim, alhamdulillah, and that is the highlight of my life. Do you believe in your previous religion? No, because I am not religious. I don't have a religion, but I have faith in difficult times. I talk to God. I don't know what God is, who God is, but when I'm faced with a difficult situation, I say, God help me. I may not use the word God, but I believe in a higher power. But I never really thought about it properly. I never told anyone that I believed in God. What made you doubt your previous beliefs? And when did that start? When I was in Turkey and when I was at the Blue Mosque, the Sultan Ahmed Mosque as it is called, that was when I really started to see religion for the first time. I have experience with other religions, but not as deep as Islam. With other religions, I just read about it. But with Islam, there is a feeling in my heart when I am in the mosque and hear the call to prayer. It is completely different. Do you have bad thoughts about Islam? I have a lot of prejudices, but I never considered myself Islamophobic. I never thought I disliked a group of people. I always tried to be a good person. Yes, I have a bad prejudice. When I first came to Turkey, I remember my grandmother saying, "Please don't go to a Muslim country. Please don't go." He thought something would happen to me, and when he told me, "Don't go, it's a Muslim country," I was honestly scared. I really didn't think the same thing. When I went to the mosque in Turkey, I thought they would laugh at me. They would look at me badly. What event finally brought you to Islam? I had a bad relationship with alcohol. So when I was 8 years old, my brother died from alcohol. That's why it affected me so much, because I was very close to him. He was my brother. But the reason that really affected me when he died, the doctor said if he hadn't been drunk, he wouldn't have died. He was drunk and fought. With one punch, he hit the floor, his brain hit the back, and he died instantly. If he wasn't drunk, he could take a beating. That's the reason. If he wasn't drinking, he wouldn't have died. That's why I've always had a problem with alcohol. And after his death, I was still young. But my family didn't realize the negative effects of alcohol. They kept drinking. They drank more than usual. Dad went to the pub a lot. I saw him less and less. My father met a 15-year-old girl. He ran away with her, leaving the family because of alcohol. And this is something that I always used as a driving force when I was growing up, because my whole family was torn in half in a year. There was me, my brother, my father, and my mother, and half of that was gone. It was just me and my mother. And I think after this incident, I grew up hating alcohol. I hated parties. I didn't want to go to parties. I felt so bad. But when I started growing up around 20, I thought, oh, maybe partying isn't so bad. I was never a party person. I'm not really. For me, it was about networking. Everyone said if you go to these clubs, you'll meet the right people, the right network. So I started partying for that reason. One time when I was in LA, I went to a nightclub and someone spiked my drink. And that same night I was hospitalized because someone tried to kidnap me. Several times someone tried to kidnap me when I was in LA. After that, I remember waking up in the hospital. My makeup was a mess. I was in a terrible state. And I said, Why did I do this to myself? I was always against alcohol. Why did I start putting this alcohol in my life? But the worst part was after that, I didn't stop. I kept partying. Not as much as my friends, but starting to do it more often. And when I came to Turkey, I came to Turkey with bad intentions. I didn't have good intentions when I came here. So it was like God was really waiting for me to lose myself. Until I went to plastic surgery, I really tried to change myself. Allah waited until I lost all of myself, until Allah brought me to Islam. What made you look at Islam? I think the most impressive thing about Islam, when I did tasbih for the first meanings, I practiced it. There was a very special moment after I did tasbih for the first time. It was when I came out of the Blue Mosque in Istanbul, and I was standing between the Blue Mosque and Hagia Sophia. That's where I heard the call to prayer for the first time. I've heard the call to prayer before, but this time I really listened to it. I actually stopped and listened to the call to prayer. Because when you stand between the two mosques, it is very clear. The sound was so audible, I stood there and just listened to it, and I thought, wow, that's so beautiful, so peaceful. I remember at that time there was an hour left to go back to the dormitory. I had to walk an hour to get back to the dormitory. I didn't know the way. I thought, okay, I have to go back to the dormitory, but how do I get there? So I took out my phone, I tried Google Maps, and then my phone, with 50% battery, just died. And I felt really anxious. I thought, how am I going to get back to the dorm? I'm from a foreign country. I don't know where to go. And I panicked. The call to prayer was still ringing, and suddenly all my worries just disappeared. Everything just disappeared. My anxiety was gone. Then I prayed in my heart, God, if you are real, help me get back to the dorm. Subhanallah, I just walked to my dorm. I didn't take a wrong turn. I don't know how I did it all. It was all by the grace of Allah. I walked from the Blue Mosque to my dormitory without any intervention. No help, no one to help me. And I remained calm throughout the journey. There wasn't a single moment where I thought I had taken a wrong turn or I didn't know which way to go. Subhanallah, it was not because of me, it was all because of Allah who guided me back to the dormitory. Is there another incident about Islam that interests you? After my first experience at the Blue Mosque, after that I went back to the dormitory and I started reading the Quran. There was an English translation in my dorm. So I took it and started reading, and I read about 5 pages of Surah Al-Baqarah. I just read it, and I remember I took pictures of every verse that I found interesting. After I continued studying, I continued reading the Quran. I had no intention of becoming a Muslim, but I continued doing this because I felt interested. Something sparked my interest. I wanted to know what was happening. I went back to the UK. I kept studying. Shortly after I got back to the UK, the lockdown happened. About a week after I got back, subhanallah, it was all God's plan. Because if the lockdown hadn't happened after I got back to the UK, I would have gone straight back to the film set. You know, when you work in film, you leave in the morning and come back at night. You have no life. But subhanallah, lockdown happened. Lockdown forced me to stay at home, with my phone, with my computer, with my books. And I kept reading. I read, I studied, I watched lectures. I did everything at home. I didn't know other Muslims. I was alone throughout my journey, and I still had no plans to become a Muslim. The thing that really got me started was when I started praying. I thought I'll give it a try. I guess I have to motivate myself. I think if someone can wake up for the morning prayer, it makes them have incredible self-control. That's what made me start doing it. I started praying to help me take control of my day, to help me structure my day, and by doing that, my days became much more productive. Because I would plan it between Fajr and Dhuhr, I would do this and this, and between each prayer I would plan everything, and I would be very productive with my schedule. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. It was amazing. Islam is so amazing. People who pray 5 times a day are so cool because you can do so many things in your day. So I did it, and Ramadan came. I want to try to gain self-control. I will try fasting during Ramadan. My mother doesn't like me doing it. Fasting. She thinks I will die. He said, you can't do it, you will die. He was so mad that I tried it, so I did Ramadan in secret. And I couldn't believe I did it. I honestly didn't think I could do it. I started doing Ramadan, and that's when the conviction started coming to me. I stopped thinking about the world and started thinking about Allah. Because during Ramadan, I only focus on fasting, I pray, and outside of that, I study Islam. That's all I do. So the way Islam made me feel, this is the truth. Nothing in my life has given me this feeling, and that's why I started taking it seriously. And I also started to feel, this is from God, because only God can give me that decision. I've tried so many things in my life to find satisfaction, to find happiness, and God has given it to me with Islam. How do you feel when you say the Shahada? I didn't do the formal Shahada. I didn't do it in a mosque. I did it during the COVID lockdown in my living room. I cried all night during Ramadan. I became a Muslim during Ramadan. I cried almost the entire time. I remember crying over and over again because I was worried that I was doing it wrong. So I kept saying the Shahada over and over again because it was hard for me to say it. And I cried a lot and I was like, okay. I took a breath and tried again, and I started crying again. So I said the Shahada a few times. I felt like I found my purpose. Throughout my life, there were so many things I tried to do, but I didn't finish. I never finished anything. I took courses at school, I didn't finish them. I started working, then I quit. My whole life I've been going in circles, and because I don't know where I'm going, I don't know where I'm going. I was constantly confused. That's how I felt for a very long time. And I knew at the moment when I took the Shahada, I felt like this was the time I could leave my habit. When you are not a Muslim, there is nothing to focus on. Everything feels difficult. Everything becomes a burden because you don't know why it happened and you are confused. But suddenly we are given our morals. We are given guidelines to follow, and then the purpose becomes clearer. You finally know where to go? Why do you go there? What will you get at the end of heaven, inshallah? And the goal of going to heaven is a life that's easier to live than a life where you don't know where to go. So yeah, it was emotional for me. Was it difficult for you to leave your acting career after deciding to become a Muslim? Yeah, I think it's hard for something I've been doing for a long time. I never formally quit. I didn't think, oh, today is the day I'm going to stop acting. Because of COVID, there's been no filming for a long time, no acting. And because of that, Allah gave me time to study religion as much as possible. So I know what I can and what I can't do. I was offered another job, and for the first time in my life, I turned it down, and then I thought, where do I fit in? I have worked so hard to get to where I am. So I don't have to worry about the director wanting me to hug another man, and he doesn't understand why I can't hug him. I don't have to worry about that. How did your family and people around you react? My mom, when I first converted, she came to me with articles from Google searches. And it was a genuine concern, but mostly fake news that she found. And yes, he was not happy. He used the word terrorist a lot. He told me, if you go to the mosque, be careful, someone might recruit you. He really thought there would be someone waiting for me outside and recruiting me to be part of them. I don't know the news, that's how the media is. That's what he thinks. I lost a lot of friends. One messaged me on Facebook and said, did you do this for a guy? Were you bullied? What happened? He thought I was in a terrible situation. And my family's really weird around me because they don't know how to act. They probably think I'm crazy. I don't know. But I know my family was closer to me when I was partying, when I was doing bad things. They can understand that. But with the me I am now, they don't understand. My mother became better with me. Honestly, my mother started learning about Islam. I took him to the mosque. I took him to the dawah booth where many people were giving dawah. He started to learn more about Islam. He became much better than before. And that's because Allah put a good Muslim in his life. He met new people. Then he called me and said, I met a girl in hijab and she helped me. Every time he sees a Muslim helping someone else, he notices it. Then he tells me. So there are people out there besides me who are giving dawah to him. So that helps a lot. Is it difficult for you to wear the hijab? It must have been hard because I was the girl who always wanted people to look at me, but also got upset if the wrong people looked. And I had to let go of that trait, which was really hard because my artistic identity depended on whether people looked at me or not. And it's really hard because when I walk down the streets of England, it feels like I don't exist. I'm invisible. When someone wants to be an artist, their clothes have to be flashy, even if that is something they don't like. So it was definitely a big change for me. But I started to change. I started to like being invisible. I started to enjoy walking down the street, not having to stand out. I am truly enjoying life for the first time without worrying about what people think of me. And that is what Islam has given. Was. I learned from the videos I chose. First, I learned the Zuhur prayer. I learned the movements and the reading of Allahu Akbar from the easiest first. I can't read Arabic, but they have a Latin translation on the screen. And it's very hard to read. I keep listening to it. How does he pronounce it? I don't know how to pronounce it. I keep trying. I remember the first time I tried to pray Duhr properly, which I thought. I was nervous all day because I really prepared for it. I studied it. And when I woke up in the morning, I was so nervous because at that time I felt like I was going to face God. And I was very afraid, like there was something very scary for me. And I remember when the time was coming, I was waiting. That was all I could see in my first prayer. And I felt that what I did was right. As far as I could remember, it was the correct way to pray. Maybe my pronunciation was wrong, and I was so surprised because I didn't expect to do it right. I remember after finishing my prayer, I was like, wow, I did it. It was like doing a show, like going up on stage, giving a show. And I actually remembered my lines. That's how it felt. What is the most difficult thing after converting to Islam? For me, one of the most difficult challenges is confidence in my religion. I am always worried about being around other Muslims. I thought, what if they say something in Arabic and I don't know how to respond? What if I pray in the mosque and I make a mistake? So I was really nervous around other Muslims, going to the mosque and other places. If someone says Assalamu alaikum to me, I will respond nervously. I am really scared. I was worried that I would make a mistake and people would think I was a fraud. That's honestly what came to my mind. When I started wearing the hijab in public, I remember so many people saying, Assalamu alaikum to me. And I just froze. I didn't know what to say back. And I thought, oh my God, I'm a fraud. He often told me that he didn't like to talk about religion because of his Christian background. He never practiced Christianity, but he was raised in a Christian school. So for him, God was a man who sat on a cloud and looked down on everyone, like a human being. That's his imagination. God is a person who sits on a cloud and sees everyone. Growing up in that era, they had a strange perception of God. And I think because in his childhood, he saw a lot of pictures of Jesus. It all confused him, and his confusion made him not understand God. He doesn't like the word God. He told me, I'm confused, I don't understand. The power he believes in, that's God. He hasn't made the connection yet. It's very difficult for him to make that connection. Is there a message you would like to convey to all non-Muslims in the world? I want to say, stop. Stop for a moment and look around, then think. That's what I would say, because a lot of us are on a roller coaster. And the roller coaster doesn't stop. It keeps going. Satan puts us on that roller coaster, in the sense that we are constantly busy. We are constantly doing something. We don't have a chance to stop, think, and look. Because a person who knows God, who knows the nature of God, when they look around, they don't just see things, they see miracles. And if anyone took the time to stop and really think and look, everyone would come to the